Thermal Services. Pooga Thermal Services. And finally, Freeze Construction. Present. How to put urethane or silicone sealant.
Celestino Hernández
¿Hace what?
Acevedo.
Acevedo. Ok. Una vez más. ¿Cómo se llama?
Damián Hernández.
Ok, y está poniendo cooking hoy. So. Es okay. Es okay, más rápido. No. Ok, cuando poniendo cooking, quiero mirar su punta. Punto.
Ok.
Punto. Su primero está limpiando su punto. 45 o más que 45. Ok. Y poniendo su punto correcto. Aquí viene Albert. Albert es like, oh, estoy viniendo. Es like, no, estoy esperando 20 minutos. Entonces, es like, no, voy a. Sí, no, but. Ok, perfecto, mundo. So, cuando limpiando, está limpiando, ¿cómo se llama?
Excelente.
Excelente. Excelente.
No.
Está limpiando, primero está limpiando, ¿qué? ¿Cómo?
Excelente.
Excelente.
Shout out to Albert and
Entonces,
Marcelino.
Perfecto. Entonces, con su dedo una vez. La primera vez con su dedo puede poner el cooking. Solamente la primera vez. Alright. Próximo vez, estamos poniendo un patch. Próximo semana, próximo tiempo, iguales. YouTube channel, solamente en Acorn Thermal Services. Paid for and sponsored by Acorn Thermal Services.
This time
Okay.
on
Okay,
Acorn Thermal
necesito hacer.
Services, we're going to learn how to put on a patch. Paid for and sponsored by Freeze Construction. Check out Vince Free as he explains how to do what he does.
Tell you right now, like, not to fear about that. We have a very strong food supply chain, and I only know after things break loose this summer, it's only going to get stronger. And I'm sure our government's going to pump money in it to make sure we're even stronger in that category. Right. So that's what I do. I build these big, to answer your question. Yeah, full circle. It's those buildings that we build.
Are you doing it? I mean, just in California locally, or do you guys?
We're nationwide, yeah. So we go coast to coast.
I have to imagine that there's not a lot of. I can't imagine that there's overwhelming opportunity if you just stay inside one region. Right. Because I mean, how many 400,000 square foot cold storage warehouses do you need in Southern California?
Well, that example was. I mean, there's not that. I mean, they're out there, but I mean, you build. Think about all the meal prep companies out there now, right? They're packaging prepackaged meals and shipping them to your doorstep. And those companies, they're building 30, 40, 50,000 square foot cold storage space to manage that. And that market's going crazy because
of the fact that nobody can get the food, they have to store it somewhere.
Well, it's that, and people are lazy, right? The days of going to the grocery store and like buying one of each ingredient to make like a really cool meal is. I mean, there's if a company is going to package all the spices and like the two bell peppers that I need, and all I do is pull out a box and have to chop it and cook it. I mean, that is
some of them you don't even have to chop anymore.
Some you just stick in the microwave and call it a day.
My wife just started doing this thing just a couple months ago, HelloFresh. It's that same concept where you get the box in the mail, it shows up on the doorstep, and I'm not a cook. I had to cook it the other day. And there is an element of cooking, but you're right. It comes in that the exact amount that you need in terms of cooking and all that. So
I'll give a shout out to Green Chef because we're doing that program right now. And
Go Green Chef.
Green Chef is good.
All right.
But there's new companies out there, Fresh and Lean. I'll give a shout out to, Lorene, who's a 30-year-old entrepreneur. She's like top 30 of 30 women in business. She's in Anaheim and has this huge meal prep company. And it's fantastic. I mean, it's definitely a very growing and popular market.
Yeah, for sure.
I never thought about that with the whole coronavirus thing. I hate going to the store now because of all the politics that are involved with, like, are you wearing a mask? Are you wearing your gloves? I just tell my wife, like, if you want to go, you can go. But I'm not interested, which is why a lot of this prepackaged food thing started, But that's very interesting.
So from a construction standpoint, are you guys self-performing a lot of this work, or do you have to find, especially when you're traveling out of state, are you finding guys to sub some of the stuff out to, or are you just on the I guess the question, are you more design and hire to build, or are you design and build, or are you just building, or?
Yeah, so we will take a set of plans from the general contractor that, they'll submit plans to us and say, hey, bid us on this division of work,
right?
Which is a thermal envelope. And we bid based off the plans. Oftentimes they will come to us and say, hey, what do you think of this or this detail? And obviously those design services and that's an extension of what we'll do for them.
On the fly kind of
we
stuff,
will give them all that stuff as an added service and value to them, because one of my mottos is I really want to be an extension of the general contractor, right? So when we're in the field and we're boots in the ground with those guys, I want to be an extension of your company. We're out there to be your partner, your team. Let's go. So we self-perform all our own work. All our guys are road warriors. We got guys from Nevada and the Midwest and a lot of California guys, but I got hats off to these guys. They are a talented group of guys, because not everybody can just, get up out of bed and build a cold storage building, right? You need to know, thermodynamics and vapor barrier and thermal cuts, and you need to understand how to build these. And these guys have a lot of experience, and without them, we don't exist. So, I mean, hats off to those guys. I mean,
so on that,
they're the studs.
Yeah. Are you training these guys? Are you finding them and I would assume there's some level of training, like where are you developing them, or how are you taking them down that path?
Man, I don't know how it happened with Freeze Construction, but when we started the company, we didn't have any field guys. And our field is typically made up of a superintendent, right, or a foreman, if you will. They will run a crew of 4 to 8 guys, sometimes bigger, depending on job size. And it was like day 2, and I'm like, who's going to do this for me? I don't have any field guys. I'm certainly not going to take any field guys from people I know and piss anybody off. And my phone rang, and there was an old superintendent I used to do work with back in the day. He retired, and he had worked with me on a couple jobs years ago, and he heard what I had started, and he said, I want to come work for you. And I'm like, are you serious? Aren't you retired and you're like living the dream? He's like, I'm bored. And he's like, I like working with you. I want to help you get this thing off the ground. Let's go. And I'm like, do you know any more people?
Could you phone a friend for me?
Yeah. So
48 guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, super blessed that just happened, right? I mean, it's God's plan. I don't know, but he called and he helped me really get this thing kickstarted. And from there, it's kind of people know people in the field, and hey, I have a cousin, or I have a couple buddies that they worked for this cold storage company back in the day, or they don't do it anymore. They went into drywall or concrete, but they want to come back. And so you find guys organically that are talented that can do this kind of work, and then you try to hire and sprinkle in new talent and have them slowly learn from the guys in the field. So I'm big on employee development, and I want to really empower all our guys in the field to feel like, they're all superintendents. They're all foremen because I want everybody to love what they do and champion their trade.
Right.
So we're doing a big job in Kansas, and I had 3 guys from the area apply when I put out something online, and they didn't know anything about what we do. So we filter them in with the group of 8 guys that know what they're doing and slowly train them, right? That costs money to train people, but that's just part of growth and part of empowering your guys to excel and learn the trade. And that's how we've been bringing our guys on,
Are you finding it hard to maintain are your employees kind of in flux just because of the location differences, or do you try and keep a core? I would imagine you try and keep a core group of guys, right, that will do a lot of the traveling for you.
So we have done a job in Connecticut already, and they're
about as far as you can go from
they're
here,
road
right?
warriors, right? Yeah. So they're from California.
Yeah.
So, and then, anywhere we go in the United States, it doesn't matter where these guys that in the field are from, they will drive anywhere, right? So, yeah, it's insane.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool. So, are you kind of like from an office standpoint, management standpoint, kind of a one-man show? Are you and your wife?
Yeah.
Is she got brought into the new business too? Or?
She is, and I could not do it without her.
The brains.
That's for yes, the brains. She's much smarter.
We're
than
all
me.
married. We know how to.
She is much smarter than me, guaranteed. And it's funny. I bounce ideas off of her, and she's just. She's so smart, right? Hats off to her. And she's a therapist. She counsels a lot of teens and stuff. Like that's her. That's what her master's is in. But between her client load, she's really with me working on the business stuff, the business side of things. And it's funny because when we started in July, I was like, okay, I'm going to home office for 6 months, because with what we do, you just don't start a company and go into the field and have a job.
Correct.
Right. So we started completely fresh,
save some overhead,
not planned. Right. So to the degree of, okay, so we're doing this. And I remember when we started, we worked day and night all weekend on a business plan, concept name, logo, all this back office stuff, website. And we're like, we're going to do a lot of this stuff on our own. And I remember working like 18 hours a day, barely sleeping for like the first 2 weeks, building the foundation of Freeze Construction.
Right.
Her and I did. And then after we kind of built our back office and foundation, then we started like reaching out to the general contractors I've had relationships with. And with what we do, we're lucky because there's a pretty small circle of general contractors that do
it's pretty
cold
special.
storage.
It's not like
construction.
throwing up a frame building or something. Yeah.
So there's no secret who they are, right?
Right.
We all know them. They all go to the same trade shows,
right?
And oftentimes I've shared tequila shots with them. Right. So a lot of them are my friends, and I just said, "Listen, this is what I'm doing, and I'm sure you've heard, and it's been on LinkedIn. We launched this and started bidding work, and then 90 days into the start of Freeze Construction, we landed our first job. But that didn't start until February 1st, end of January. Yeah. So there is a long time. Yeah. There is 6 months of when we started where we were just trying to bid work and build a backlog.
Yeah.
So we were just home office, her and I, that's it. And then COVID happens, and I was really looking forward to getting out of the house of the home office, which is a great home office, by the way. It's fantastic. And then this happened, and now I'm like, it's weird. We found working remote now, many people have, is, hey, we can do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to change a lot of businesses after this is over.
We've talked about this before about how
you don't need
commercial real estate's going to just tank.
You don't need that $5,000 to $10,000 rental space anymore in a downtown district or a fancy big office, because we found working remotely works.
Yep.
And it works for maybe 80 to 90% of the people.
Yep.
Some things you can't do.
Well, and you might lose, we've talked about it before too, you're going to lose a little bit of productivity just because you're not there on top of your people, but the money you're saving on overhead,
you're going to make up for it on that side.
You can hire another 1 or 2 people to make up for that and still be out in the black.
So I don't even know, like after this is over, I don't know if I'm going to do an office anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm to the, because there's people in the industry that are located throughout the United States that I want to bring on board to the company really, really bad. And they don't live in California. And that was a problem for me back in 2019. But moving forward, my mindset changed. I'm like,
way back in the day in 2019.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me,
well, from a progression standpoint, it's
well, for me, I feel like it's been 5 years since I started this thing. I mean, it's been it's exhausting, and it's. I'm going to hire and we want to bring on partners that are from out of the state, and I'm okay with that. We're going to go to meetings and Zoom, and everything's going to be remote, and we set the company up all cloud-based anyways. Yeah. Everything's on the cloud.
Yeah.
So if I'm in Florida at a trade show, I can pop open my computer and I can run payroll. I can get into my back office and do a bid. My office goes with me anywhere now.
Yep. So no, it's funny how it's kind of forcing some of those people. Obviously, you're part of the younger generation, but some of those older generation guys. Well, I mean, you look like you could probably fit in with us too. So I mean, but there's that older generation of guys too that
really have to force.
Yeah, where maybe they weren't thinking about it for a long time, and then all of a sudden this is forcing them to. And it's definitely, like we've talked about before, becoming the new normal, if you will, across multiple industries, not just construction, but multiple industries. There was something else I was going to ask you, kind of based on that with the COVID stuff. Where I would imagine the job the stuff that you've started before lockdown, if you will, or shelter in place. Imagine that stuff's kind of just continuing on as normal. Are you seeing any sort of slowdown from the sense of bidding or future work or any of that kind of stuff, or are people still kind of confident that that's going to stay strong and into the future? Into the near future?
Yeah, so a lot of the industry right now is still boots in the ground working, right? Because we're considered essential. Yep. So we're the food supply chain, minus the states that just said, listen, we're shutting everything down, like Pennsylvania or I think
parts
Boston,
of New York,
Massachusetts is shut down maybe. Yeah. But other than that, we haven't stopped working, but we have started new safety measures with PPE and face mask and temperature readings before you start on a job site, which I never understood, because you could literally have COVID for like 10 days and not show any symptoms or a fever.
I think it's more of a,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's more of a, hey, look, we're trying kind of thing.
It's an insurance thing, right? Or it's a check the box thing. But there are measures we're all taking now to try to keep everybody safe. Extra wash stations on the job site and keeping trades off of other trades and say, hey, you're going to work in this section of the project they're building. Or some people are changing shifts. Like you're going to do morning shift and you're going to do mid shift and then night shift. So there's a lot of measures happening right now, but we're still moving. And, we've been lucky and blessed that none of our projects got shut down from this. And as far as the future is concerned, I feel like bidding has picked up. Okay, projects that were going to go did get put on hold.
Kind of
like
delayed a little
some
bit.
of these projects got delayed because you got to think, if these cities are shutting down, like the health department and people like plan review stuff, like if they're shut down,
permits and
permitting is shut down, you can't build anything new. So some of those projects did get shut down or paused, if you will, or slower. But as far as like the bidding is concerned, it hasn't slowed down. I think it's gotten busier, and people are really prepping for when this thing is over. I think it's just going to be like,
it's going to be just balls to the wall.
Oh my gosh.
We have a logjam of activity and projects that can't happen or are slowly happening. And once that opens up, it's like a floodgate.
And the floodgates are going to be, and the pressure is going to be put on all of our vendors. And I feel bad for them, because our insulated metal panel vendors are going to feel it the most, because they have a backlog of orders already, and if those got paused, they're not making those panels, if you will.
Well, and even if they are making them, they have nowhere to store them.
Well, they're not going to make them, right? Because they're going to be running, less shifts and less people, and And when the floodgates open, I mean, they have to make all those orders and all the new ones that are hot. Because in our industry, by the way, everything's hot, no matter what. So we always need it. We always need it tomorrow. Or we always need it now. Like there's no 6 to 8 week lead time. That means we need it in 3 weeks. Yeah, right. And if you guys don't know that, figure it out. So it's for us. I don't think it's going to slow down.
So not to dumb it down much, but just more because. I mean, again, we only work with contractors, but I don't know that I've ever talked to somebody that specifically does the thermal envelope, cold storage, just like that, 100% of that. But I mean, are you guys taking panels and putting a building together, or is there actually, what's done from a construction standpoint from your guys? Because obviously, I know that those panels are probably prefabbed, right? And they're coming to you guys. Mm-hmm. What's involved on your end once it comes to you? Or before, as far as site prep and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so obviously before us, they're going to move dirt and pour foundations and footings and erect steel, and then do the joist and decking. And once that steel structure is completed, and our panels show up that we order, and we start erecting the panels on the steel. And we're doing the vapor barrier associated with the top and bottom and the panel joints and stuff, but we're wrapping that steel with the panels in a nutshell.
Right. So are you guys involved in any of the actually cooling the HVAC stuff, or?
Yeah, so we don't have a refrigeration division, I want to say yet, because you never know. I think it's in my plan one day to maybe bring on some guys that are HVAC guys, refrigeration guys, and add that element to the company. Right now, we do not do that. I don't know if it adds value to a general contractor if you do both.
My only thought would be one less headache, one less person he has to deal with. You know what I mean? One less opportunity for something to go sideways in a relationship.
It's just less paperwork for them. They don't have to write another contract, but it's still, a lot of it's still separate licensing and insurances and all that stuff. Right. So, but there is some value there because if you can bring a package deal together, they like that, and oftentimes you can maybe hit it a little harder.
Do you ever see yourself going into the position of the prime? And kind of wrapping it all up, or do you specialize in where you're at?
I did that in my life before this, and when I moved out west.
You did it from a project management standpoint, right?
Yeah.
It might be a little bit different from an owner standpoint.
I
don't mean to be putting on the spot here.
I don't have any desire. I don't have any desire to be a prime. I don't. I mean, our guys in the field.
I'm pushing buttons right here.
We're babysitting enough right now as it is. I don't need to be babysitting 13 to 20 subs on a job. All right, that's just not our thing. And we really enjoyed just being our Division 7 or 13 of that trade and going in and supporting the GC. Yeah. That's what we're good at.
So what does your growth model look like? If are you kind of are you at a point where you're content, or are you looking to be the number one cold storage guy in the country, or?
Man, I set a reminder to myself every day, and it's on my phone. It actually goes something like, gosh, if I can pull up my reminders, it's basically, I don't want to be the biggest contractor in what we do. I want to provide the best value always. So I don't get out of bed every morning and say, I'm going to be the biggest cold storage contractor in the United States. That doesn't interest me at all. I want to grow organically. I want to bring on talent when it makes sense. And it's not about how big you are, dollar wise, because there's companies out there that are $50 million to $100 million a year, but they're making, 2% net profit, right? If you're really good at what you do and you do what you say you're going to do for the price you say you're going to do it for, and really hold your word and add value to a client, your value goes up, and then they pay for you and your profit's better, right? So I don't need to be the biggest and baddest. That's not my thing. I mean, I really just want to support the client,
Right.
That's it. And if it grows, it grows. And wherever it goes, it goes. I mean, I do have a business plan, and yes, I do have a growth model, but it's not anything that.
Not trying to force or anything.
No, so it's there, but I don't need to be the biggest and baddest now.
Well, and I think if you're adding value and quality, the biggest and baddest will come eventually. You know what I mean?
It could.
As opposed to making that your aim and then sacrificing quality on the backside of things. And eventually it could potentially crumble at that point.
Yeah. So we, my wife, her mom, Lorene, she's retired now, and she lives in Wisconsin yet, and it's actually now on board with our company, helping us with a lot of the human resources side of things. So I got her set up with the back office and an email address, and you know, she works for free.
Was the best kind of
Thanks,
employees,
Lorene.
huh? Yeah.
Thank you. And but she's,
better hope she doesn't get carpal tunnel and follow work comp.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry,
I know. But
now the insurance guy's coming at me. No,
yeah, she's super talented at a lot of, like, you know, employee management and human resource stuff. Now, she doesn't have a degree in any of that, but as from like an administrative role for HR stuff, she's very talented at all that. So I'm a big believer in, I don't want to be the smartest guy at everything at our company, because that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it does not exist. You hire people that are better than you, period.
Or find them to work for free for you that are better than you.
Yeah.
Do you really hire them if they don't?
Exactly. So, I mean, there are so many things I am not good at, right? And I know so many people out there that are better at certain things that I want to bring on board, because I want to empower them to say, dude, this is what you're good at. Help me go. But Lorene has stepped up, and we want to do something a little bit different with all our field guys that I don't think our competition's really doing. So we rolled out this touch base plan. So when we bring on new people in the field, we have after we hire them, we do a 30-day, we call it a touch base. So it's a evaluation. It's kind of like a review, but it's not. It's not like we're going to touch base with you and we're going to see if you're worth the price of admission and give you a raise. It's not about that. It's really, we want to provide that employee a platform to have an open conversation about, hey, what do you like about what you're doing? What do you see different that could change, that could benefit the company? Where do you want to be with our company in 5 years? And it's a solid just, hey, what's up, right? 30-day touch base, and then a 6-month touch base, right? And then at the end of and then a year, we'll do a yearly annual review with them. Right. So, you know, if you're doing reviews once a year, I think that's wrong. I think you're doing it wrong, because a lot could happen, right? A lot could happen in 3 months. A lot could happen in a week. Yeah. So these touch bases are now an opportunity for us to really get intimate with our guys in the field and find out what's going on in their head. What do they want? What do they see that could be different? And it's only going to make the company and our employees stronger, I feel.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I think. Did your wife come up with that as a therapist?
It wasn't my idea. it was Jen and Lorene's idea. 100%. Yeah. I would never have thought of that. And quite frankly, I get so caught up with running certain parts of the company and like trying to be out there and do the advertising and marketing and bidding and project management. And there's so much that I'm doing that we are getting to a point now where we do need to bring in some help, and we do want to bring in some young talent. Our industry is known for, there's a lot of old cats that do what we do. And there's a lot of, I don't want to, insult any of them, but there's just a lot of people aging out.
Well, there's opportunity. I mean, just the way technology is going and the speed that things move. Yeah.
And there's a lot of like my competitors that these companies are ran by older gentlemen that are going to retire soon. Yep. And we don't know what's going to happen with their company or what their exit plan is and strategy. There's some general contractors out there that are really doing a fantastic job of going to college campuses and bringing on young talent, getting them to trade shows, learning the business of cold storage, construction, and food processing construction. And I want to be that same type of model where I can bring in young talent and just teach them, because I was that same young buck, didn't know a thing about cold storage, right? And I had so many people go out of their way to train me. And my training models is I'm stealing it from my first company that hired me. It's get in the field and learn it. Yeah. I mean, to be just hired without an interview, right? Just say, hey, why don't you just come on board and help us out, and not understand what we do and not get out there and learn it. I mean, I think you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Because when I was hired, my first job selling doors, I was waking up at 5 a.m. or I'm sorry, I was waking up at 4 a.m. to get to the shop at 5 a.m. And I was building doors for 3 months.
To understand how they work.
To understand every nut and bolt of the door. And I remember waking up at 4 a.m. and I was like, why'd I go to college for four and a half years? To get out of bed, put on steel-toe boots. I was so mad. I was so grumpy. But
pay the student loan.
But I'm telling you, and it's getting worse though with it's getting worse with the kids out there. I mean, it's just
that stigma put on construction and everything.
These kids want to just graduate and be the president of a company. And it's like, dude, get in the field. Learn this stuff, because after those 3 months were up for me, then I went into the field and installed the doors, and then I serviced the doors. I wasn't selling anything until month 10. You know what I mean? And so you really need to get these young guys in the field to see this stuff, and because that's where you learn, right? That's where the most training happens. So
are you your day-to-day role? Are you? I mean, it sounds like you kind of wear a lot of hats. What's the role you don't like, just for kind of other people? What's the role you don't like the least that kind of challenges you the most?
That is a loaded question. And a good one. I not really big into, I'm not a huge fan of all the payroll and payroll taxes and the licensing and laws and all that stuff that are associated with that, right? That's a lot of the stuff that Jenna's really good at, because she takes the time to learn it and understand it. She's done such a fantastic job of like working with our payroll company and saying, hey, we got guys in this state, in this state, in this state, but we're all doing work in this state. Right. So, where does their income tax come from? How do they pay that? And how do we divvy up that? And, because the states want their money. Right. Yeah. So all that stuff, get it out of here. I don't want to deal with any of that. Jenna, that's you. You're good at that. So
I would imagine you're probably more into the sales marketing. That's kind of where you thrive.
Man,
if you could wake up every day, that'd be what you were doing.
If I could wake up every day and take a client golfing, I would.
Yeah, that works.
Seriously,
too.
That sounds like a great job.
And
or your favorite insurance agent that's not your agent.
That's right. That's right. So you guys, I mean, that's what I love. I love forming and molding relationships, because they last a lifetime. And even people that I formed relationships with that are retired, I still touch bases with them. And you become friends and family, and know about their kids and what they're up to. And then all of a sudden you're planning vacations with them in the summer to go out on their boat. And it's the relationship thing that I most enjoy. Of course, I like bidding and selling. Who doesn't like landing a job? But wake up every day and golf. That's good. I would do that.
Not a bad plan, man. Not a bad plan.
Yeah. That's where all the deals happen, by the way. On the golf course.
That's actually true.
I mean, they say that. I don't know. I don't remember the last time I actually closed the deal. It's more of a just kind of shoot the shit, have fun. But
that's true.
I'd love to actually pick up a check from somebody though and say, yeah, here's my business. And
you do that when you bet them on the hole.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah. So what's your golf game like then?
Terrible.
I bet it's not.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, I remember golfing. I had a vendor take me out golfing, and we were playing Tustin Ranch. And I shoot like 100, right? That's my game.
Fit right in.
You want to play with me then?
Yeah, you fit right in.
But I remember this like it was yesterday. We have you guys played Tustin Ranch?
Yeah.
So you tee off, you go over a little bit of water, and it's a par 4. And I birdied that hole. I kid you not. And my vendor's like, you are not 100. I'm like, I swear. Yes.
Give me 4 or 5 holes and a couple shots of tequila.
The next hole's a par 5, and I birdied that hole. And now he's
getting pissed.
Now he's getting mad at me because he's truly a 3 handicap. And I'm beating him. And I remember through 5 holes, I was 3 under through 5. And I'm telling you, dude, I'd blow up. And sure enough, I finished the day out and I shot like a 95 because the back 9, dude, I was an 8, a 9. I hit the water 3 times. I'm telling you, like, it's brutal. I am a mental midget in my own head in golf, and that
is 100% me.
It's brutal, dude. Like 100%. Some holes, I'm like, you're really good at golf, and some holes are like, wow, you should not play golf.
So if we're allowed to play golf again, what is it? July usually? End of July, August at Tejeras?
Oh, you mean for the Ironman? Yeah, it's August usually.
Usually July or August. The guys here, we do 54 holes in one day.
Jeez.
At Tejeras Creek.
Yeah, we're there at 5:15, and we're done by 8 or 9?
Yeah.
With dinner at the end. That's dinner at the end. Yeah.
I have a best friend of mine he's in this industry, and he golfs a lot, and he's, insane at golf. He shoots probably he was probably down to like a 2 or 3 or 4 handicap, whatever it was, but drives the ball a mile, super consistent, super awesome swing. I'm like, I hate you. I hate golfing with you. But this guy can play 72 holes in a day, and I'm like, I get through 9 holes and my back hurts and I'm already tired. And I'm like, can't wait for these 9 to be done. And, I love golf, but I do not have the body to play more than 18 holes.
I don't think any of us have the body by the last. So
yeah, we're always cursing ourselves at the end of the day. Like, why?
First of all,
agree to do this?
We do match play. Well, the first 2 rounds are match play. So if you're out of a hole, you can just pick up. You don't have to worry about it. So you save some strokes there. If you're already down by 3 holes and there's only 2 to go, you pick up and you move on. So save some strokes there. So out of the 54, you probably only end up playing 45-ish.
Maybe,
yeah. And then the last 18 is always a scramble. So those are a lot easier, obviously, too, than playing your own ball all the way through. So we find a way to make it not as taxing as having to play 54 straight holes,
and I would be less in pain if I didn't literally swing my hardest every time.
It's the only way to play golf.
I'm telling you, I don't know why, but it's just in my brain, swing super hard. And
on that mental midget there, I always tell people that I golf with when I'm 240 out and I grab my 3-wood and they go, "Well, you're not going to hit that." Yeah, but what fun is it? Like, if I do it, it's the best day of my life.
Yeah, go for it.
What fun is it laying up and, playing smart.
You're not going to go home and tell your wife, I laid up at 240 and I got par, right? Like, no one's going to do that. Dude, I hit this 240 and I like it was a dime.
Might happen once every month or once every 4 months.
But and I birdied it. It was sick. And she's like, yeah, make dinner or do the dishes. Like, I don't care, That's how it goes. Funny. That's how it goes, man. Yeah.
Good times. So we want to hear some. I want to hear. I think there's got to be some sort of fun cold storage, guys. Somebody got trapped in a cold room or.
It's pretty morbid.
not in a bad way, but.
Oh my God.
Any fun stuff from the field that you can think of?
Yeah, one of my. I'll tell you this story because I can't get this out of my head. So my first sales trip ever in the cold storage industry, I was traveling with my buddy who got me the job, and we went to a chicken kill plant in Tennessee or Georgia, one of the two. You drive into the small city and immediately it stinks. Okay, if you ever been driving through a town that has like a meat processing or like a chicken kill plant, the smell it hits you. And we walk into this place and we have to suit up, rubber boots, like a rubber hazmat, basically hazmat.
Yeah,
basically you're walking into COVID-19 room with a mask and everything on, and immediately I'm standing in 3 inches of blood.
Dang.
And
chicken blood. We'll be clear, chicken blood.
Is this chicken blood? Is this explicit? By the way, can I tell this story without freaking out all your guests?
No.
And I remember that they had this chain that had almost like these chickens were attached to these zip lines, if you will, going across, and there's a series of saws. Okay, so there's one saw down the middle, and then after it goes through that, there's another 2 saws off to the side at a 45-degree angle, and it's sawing the chicken in half, breast to breast, and then the next saws cut the wings off, and then they automatically drop into these buckets. I didn't eat chicken for a month. I'm like, dude, that is I'm out. No, don't sign me up for that. It almost made me quit, doing what we did. It was brutal. But yeah, that was. I still have nightmares.
You were upset with me talking about a guy getting trapped in a cold room,
and I just told you a Jason Voorhees story. Right? Yeah, but it was that was a moment.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
It's efficient. Yeah. Think about it. You got the breasts in a bucket. You got the wings in a bucket,
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Even the pork plants that, they're hanging the pigs from and stuff. They're just hanging there. And it's
it's processing, yeah.
I did sell in LA, something to the coroner's office. And I had to replace a 3x7 cooler door to that went to the outside.
Right.
And this thing was existing. So there was racks of bodies. And it's a real thing. And the lady's like, okay, so have you ever been in one of these rooms before? I'm like, no. She's like, okay, well, just, gown up, just keep her head down, look at the floor till you get to the door. Okay. So, because I didn't want to see it,
Right.
The blue bags over the top, and they're in this cooler, and I'm walking, and sure enough, I look up, and
because she told you not to,
and because she told me not to, and I'm like, I want to see where I am, like, what is going on here, and it's the tags are on the toes, and like, dude, it was just so insane. I'm like, man, like, I don't ever want to do this again.
Stick to the new construction and not so much the service and repair, right?
So I'm doing a really good job promoting the cold storage industry to young guys to come join what we do. Yeah. Come on in. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming in. Before we let you go, we want to let you give a little shout out, a little plug, kind of where to find you, website, phone number.
Okay, so
homing pigeon, if you got one of those.
Yeah, so I'm on all 4 platforms: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and what's the other one? Instagram.
Yep.
So it's Freeze Construction at Freeze Construction. I think
with a Z, Freez.
Yeah, so it's Freez and then no E, because apparently we're hip and modern like that.
Right.
So,
less is more.
Yeah, exactly. Twitter is I think at Freeze Thermal, and then as far as the website, it's just freezeconstruction.com.
Perfect.
Nice. So, man, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
No, thanks for coming on, man.
This was
we'll
fun.
let you get back out to the golf course.
I will be back at the end of the year to tell more fun stories that you guys need to hear.
We will. We'll have you back for sure. And if
I will bring tequila this time.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Okay with that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Good. Well, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Vince. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like.
It happened on.
We're having some fun. So let's get back. I walked through the front door.
Well, I mean, he had called me
From
and
the kitchen.
he had said like this was an unusual request being made, and so we kind of knew at that point, like, okay.
Wait, what was the unusual request?
The airport thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was an unusual request, and that's fine. I guess I just wish he had had an opportunity to have a conversation, but that's okay. I mean, people run their businesses how they want to run their businesses. We're gonna run our business how we want to run it, but. So he had called me, and I kind of had some time to like sit with it, because I knew when he walked in the door, he was like, "I'm gonna say to me, what you said to me is, I guess we're starting a company." And at that point, I think, what did I have, like 20 minutes? I was like, all right, fine, let's do it. Yeah. Because if we don't, I knew that what I saw in him, that what was weighing on him, that I didn't want him to ever feel that regret. I didn't want him to ever feel like 10 years from now, God, I really wish I would have done that.
Right. Like he was losing his soul.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. And I could see it draining out of him, and so I didn't want that to be a reason, and I didn't want my fear to be the reason that we didn't do this. And so when his phone got cut off, I called my parents, and I was like...
Was this like mid-conversation it got cut off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I heard this story at lunch
yes.
a few months ago, but I don't think anybody else... I don't think Brian didn't hear that story.
And that was the company's choice. That's fine. They turned it off, and so we were mid-conversation. He was trying to tell me, I didn't even know if he was coming home. Like, I had no idea where he was going. He had plans to do something else that day, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll see you later. I don't know. I mean, you gotta come here eventually because you live here, so I'll see him eventually. So I called my parents after the call dropped and just kind of had a conversation with them, and that's what I love about them so much, is that they're so as much as my mom would probably disagree with this statement, they're so go with the flow. I really do feel that way. Like my mom's a planner, I'm a planner. That's why this really threw me for a loop for a while. But my parents are always just like, hey, there's a path. Yeah. There's a path that's been designed for you, and it's probably not going to look how you think it's going to look. You'd like to think you're designing it, but you're not.
Right.
And so go with it. Go with it, trust in it, know that you need to try things and take risks in life if you really do want to feel your soul fulfilled. And so by the time he walked in the door, I was like, all right, let's do it. Where do we start? What do we do? I was like, how about we get you a phone? Maybe that's step one. Let's get you a phone.
Step one was get a phone.
Let's get you a phone. And then luckily, what I love about what Vince is as a person too is just he has this ability to just be able to get along with people. And so he had not at all, right? He sucks.
And it's funny because I
hate
people now.
No. He's the worst, but also the best at that. And so he has introduced me to wonderful people in the industry. He has what I would say is a pretty fun reputation in the industry. People like to see him and hang out with him.
I have no idea why. I can't imagine why.
I'm pretty sure it's the drinking. I'm pretty sure. Some of the people prefer me more than you, but whatever.
Many of the people in our industry prefer you over me.
But what I loved about that is that it has given us as not professional, but in our personal lives, relationships with a lot of these people. And so I literally went through my phone and I was like, okay, here are the phone numbers you need of all of our friends in the industry, because I'm friends with their wives, or I'm friends with, their kids or something like that, or them. And so it was just like, all right, let's start with the phone. Let's get you your contacts back and we'll go from there. And that was what we did on day one.
And that's all I wanted on my phone was my personal photos of us and our vacations. Yeah. And, I'm like, give me 30 minutes with my phone so I can get my personal things off of that.
Yeah, we had 5
There's
years.
nothing on that phone that is really, besides the phone itself, nothing on that thing is, property of whatever. Like, it's literally just trying to get our vacation photos off that.
Well, our wedding photos were on it.
Everything was
before
on
we got
it,
married.
And I tried to get him off, and so.
But, though, what a cool response. The fact that, I know you had some time to kind of, plan in your mind for when he actually walked through the door.
Yeah, it was good. 20 minutes was good.
You had the nervous breakdown in the corner for 15, 5 minutes of recovery.
Surprisingly, I didn't even have to go for a drink. I was like, okay with it. I was like, all right.
We didn't have time. We didn't have time. We basically, that day, I had to go, I went to the office and got all my stuff and, turned in my last stuff, and that day we started, right?
Well,
because all we did was talk. We didn't really start anything, so we had to do everything in fast, right? So
we worked I would say pretty much 24/7 for the first 2 weeks to create something we felt comfortable with putting out there, and
how much was your dad involved in that whole process?
In the initial start, not a whole lot, because marketing and organization is more Lorraine's side of things. So Lorraine was very involved.
Yes, she was.
In terms of editing and wording for our website and going through things like that. So it was more Lorraine involved in that. And then Gary's he's more of the guy in the field. He's more of the hands-on. That was what my dad has always done. So he was more, once we were moving, he's been involved that way since. So Lorraine works on our site.
She still works, right?
Yes.
Too, right? Yeah.
No, she's retired now.
Well, but she still does stuff for you guys, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She works.
You were saying that
pretty heavily, and she's more involved now with payroll and HR stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she handles all of our HR. She handles our payroll. She helps me with things from the state that I don't understand. That kind of stuff.
So much paperwork.
And how many different states are you guys licensed in now?
4.
Okay.
4 or 5.
More than that.
Well, more than that, actually, because not all of them require a licensing test.
Yeah.
Some of them just require licensing. So
a fee of some kind,
9.
Many states just require you to sign up with their Secretary of State or whatnot. But
I know the number escapes me now, but the ones he had to actually take a test in was probably a handful. But the ones where I had to fill out, one of the states required, how many pages was that background thing information?
Connecticut was insane.
Yes.
Because Connecticut was a reference letter from 3 reference letters from a vendor. So 3 different vendors had to write me a letter. And then 3 different general contractors had to write me a letter of recommendation. and then so there's 6 like
from inside Connecticut or
just to be
from anywhere.
Connecticut.
Okay.
No,
I mean the reference letters.
Yeah,
okay,
the vendors and GCs could be from anywhere, and you know, and then basically I felt like I had to like write them as to why I was a qualified contractor to do business in your state. Like, and write them
I mean,
wrote an essay, basically.
It sucks, right? But at the same time, like we had a guy on. I think he was episode 100. He's a roofing contractor in Texas, and they don't even require a license or anything. No. Literally, all you do is open up your DBA and throw a ladder in your truck, and you're a roofing contractor.
Exactly.
Which is scary as hell, right? So I mean, sucks, but also nice to know that there's people actually.
I'm okay with that process, but the licensing process in a whole is backwards, because the state of California to get your Class B, the exam is all about residential home building. Okay, for trade. I don't build residential homes.
Yeah.
I don't care about the trusses and how tall toilet seats can be off the ground and the ADA doors. It doesn't have any. Yeah, it has nothing to do with what I build.
Insurance exams as well.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You guys have to go through it.
Well, it's the same idea.
Yeah. But the law portion makes a lot of sense, right? The law with the lien waivers and whatnot, like that makes sense. But the trade in all the states, they need to get that refigured out, because I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Now, Connecticut, I didn't mind all those letters of recommendations, because then you're not in Texas putting ladder in your truck and, hey, I'm a builder, you know?
Right.
So that makes more sense.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe there'll be some changes. We'll see. I doubt it.
We're here to make a change, damn it.
All they want is your money.
Right. No, at the end of the day,
They want your money. But I think it's good. It was a good process for you. I mean, you're not a test taker, so you hated every moment of it. But I think it was good for you to go through those processes, because it really it builds your credibility as an individual, and it builds our credibility as a company. We're willing to go through jumping through all the hoops and stuff like that, because this is what we want, and we want our company to have a good standing. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's the business flow look like? I know when we had lunch, you said it was a little bit slower.
It's the complete opposite of that lunch.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys picked up?
Yeah. I think we're gonna be at 198%. We're at 198% going into 2021.
Growth.
Going into 2021?
Yeah, growth. So we're like four times bigger.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, and I feel like we've had several guests here. They're like, "Oh yeah, I know Vince. I listened to his episode."
Yeah.
I mean, like
Fricks. You guys had Fricks on.
Yeah, we had Fricks on.
And that company's insane. Those are great people, by the way. I listen to that podcast, by the way, and only because he's in our industry.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's awesome. Their company is awesome. Like, I want to hear this. And thank you for the name drop, by the way. I appreciate you, Mike. That was you, man.
I try everywhere, man. I try.
I paid him to say that Vince was a good guy.
Well, it's so funny.
Where's my money?
Yeah.
You're paying people? What the hell?
Wow.
Whoops.
Wow.
Jeez. And I have to drive you around? Come on.
he got you a Starbucks though.
Yeah, I guess.
I bought you a Starbucks.
Lucky me.
It's your salary for today. Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny because on that, I mean, we've had so many people that have communicated with each other through this, right? Like,
sure.
Like, hey, I know that guy, or I gave that guy a call, or this guy called me because he heard me.
Outside of the episode itself,
yeah, just,
totally unintended. No.
What you guys are doing is fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Tell us
And it's true, because first off, it's a great platform. You guys run a very phenomenal set of questions and good flow with your podcast, and for all these contractors to get out there and just be heard and talk about their story. What you guys are doing is amazing, and just hats off to you guys, because it's connecting a lot of people too.
Yeah.
It's connecting a lot of people.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was getting at, is the network that's being created is awesome. Like that's more fun than I think than actually. I mean, obviously this is fun, but I think right now we're almost in the stages of trying to plan something where we can actually organize some sort of network, right?
Sure.
Where via Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it is, actually bring those people in and actually.
That was not a thought of the
beginning. Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
With the unintended consequences. But
they also do insurance, guys.
Yeah, we do.
Don't forget that. So when your thing's coming up for rebid, Give him a shot.
Give him a shot.
Well done.
There you go.
Well done.
So smooth.
Plug. Yes.
We paid him for that too, and all the props on the podcast.
What's that sign? Tell me about that.
So
the independent agent, yeah.
The guys that run our agency also have a
I would say probably more had.
Well, the company.
Oh,
they own another company that
That's
does e-learning for our industry, the insurance industry. It started with onboarding service people because there's like going back to the test taking, right? Like you sit down, you have to take 52 hours of classroom work, and then there's a test that probably takes 2 to 3 hours to become licensed in insurance. But again, I mean, most of it is just, the stuff they want you to learn, whatever.
You can walk through the door and actually do work.
Yeah. So you get your license and you go to an agency and you sit down and do the work, but the day-to-day work isn't covered in any of that stuff, right? It's all just the actual coverage portion. So they started an onboarding process that teaches the fundamental like day-to-day processes of being a service person inside the industry through an e-learning portal that they sold to agencies. And part of that process and kind of their marketing process, they started a podcast called The Independent Agent. So they ran about 50 episodes, I think.
So they had mics this way, they had a camera going this way, and then that was their backdrop.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think
So they used it the same way we kind of used it as well, right? I mean, they had questions that came in from agents that they answered and talked about, different processes and different things, how they view the agency, and then.
But they started off with drinks. So one brother is like very, I would say.
Vanilla.
Yeah, like Michelob Ultra only, right? And like, I mean, talk about yin and yang. Like, he's the guy, and I love them both, and they're probably gonna be listening to this episode. So, hey guys, I love you. But this guy will, he'd rather, stay home, not do anything, and drink his Michelob if he does, right? And then the other guy is best friends with everybody, a lot like you, right? Everybody knows who he is. He's adept at his drinks, and he knows all that. So part of their shtick at the beginning of the show was to have the one brother introduce the vanilla brother to a new drink. And so I think they went 50 episodes.
Very cool.
Like, he would muddle the mint and go like just make some sort of weird fancy cocktail and make the other brother try it. And it was
And then he would get basically his response on air at that moment.
Which most of the time was I'll stick to my Michelob Ultra.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's nice and sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I mean it's marketing, man.
Yeah.
It's marketing.
But that was, I mean, for us, we already had a lot of the equipment already because they already started. So that was kind of where we came from.
Yeah.
So we bought the third mic
love
before
it.
COVID.
It's a COVID mic. Nice.
So on that marketing aspect, I mean, you guys who does that for you guys? Because I mean, the pictures you guys post are pretty well edited, right? Like you're not just taking the picture and posting it. You guys do all that?
I do it all for the most part. I do it all for the most part. I'm gonna say for the most part because when I have to write out something like long and like creative, I literally like I will kind of like throw it all up on paper and then give it to Jen and be like, this isn't organized. There's spelling errors everywhere. Can you fix this? Please just fix this.
Who's doing this kind of stuff though?
That's me.
Vince is doing that. Yeah.
What are you guys using? Is it just phone or you?
I cannot give away my trade secrets.
Okay.
Because all my competitors will start doing it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you after the show.
Off air.
I'll tell you off air. But it costs me roughly maybe it's under $200 a year for that.
Like software, whatever that you use.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it something you want to continue doing?
Great question.
Right now, he
Right
will
now, I
continue
It's
will
a
doing
great
it.
question, and then he leaned over to Jenna.
I look
Right
at
now,
Jenna,
he
I'm
will
like,
continue doing it. Yes.
because she's the money lady. I'm like, what's our budget? What's our budget?
Right now, you have no marketing budget.
It's true. We don't.
Right now, he will continue to do the marketing. Plus,
Well, that's not true. I have hats and T-shirts. There's a little bit of marketing there.
But yeah,
It's very small.
But you've already
He's-
spent the money.
Yeah,
on
it's
it.
gone.
And he thrives off of this.
Yeah.
Like, as much as he's like, oh man, I gotta do all this stuff, like, he thrives off that shit.
I
He
like
likes it. So.
Are
he
you doing it
doesn't-
with any sort of intention or schedule, or is it just like whenever stuff pops into your head?
No, I try to post at least twice a week,
Okay.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, because not all the people check anything on Friday.
Right.
Monday's a good time to post too, but Mondays are my craziest days because it's payroll and it's accounting and coding, all the things that came in from the week before that hits my books, and so Monday's tough. So we have feelers out there to bring on some people to help grow the company and not replace me, but help me, and also I think next year is going to be a big year for us in regards to bringing people on board. So if anyone's listening,
we'll see.
Reach out.
We'll
see. We'll see.
Call it business development. Is that what you're looking for?
We're looking for rainmakers.
Yeah.
The title is Rainmaker.
Rainmaker.
That's it.
That's on the business card.
I want you to bid, sell, manage, schedule, everything, man. It's called Rainmaker.
Are you one man show from a sales standpoint right now? Is it just you?
Just me.
No budget for that either. No.
No.
So Jenna can do takeoffs and bids right now. Not to the level that I want her to get to, because my mind is this way, and then all of a sudden 2 seconds later it's that way, and like when we sit down and I try to teach her,
it is the
opposite. Like my phone will ring, and then I'll take like an hour call.
It's like squirrel.
And then she's sitting at my desk like,
I need to finish learning this.
I'm just gonna go get
his
more
fantasy
coffee.
Football update will ding, and then he'll be on his phone for like 15, 20 minutes. That's the truth. And I'll be like, are we in the middle of like?
I want to be very clear here.
What?
I just made the fantasy football championship, and now this is back-to-back years I made the final. Okay,
congratulations.
which is very hard to do. Okay, it's only $800 for first. That's it. Okay.
Maybe you can use some of those winnings to pay me.
Whoa! Maybe I'll take you on a nice date.
There you go.
We'll see. I might want the cash.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah, so I'm super into fantasy football. It's actually addicting. I love it.
I'm in 3 leagues and I just lost in the semis in one of them, and the other 2 I'm in the championship.
Nice.
Nice work.
Awesome.
You might want to join my league next year.
I don't know if
Do you want him to join your league?
Yeah, I joined the league this year.
2 others.
I joined the league this year, and I'm gonna win first. And
I welcome.
Nobody's real happy about it.
See, that's the perception, man. Everyone's afraid of competition. I love good competition.
One of my leagues is a dynasty league where we
makes you better. It does. I mean, look back at our industry. As Jenna was saying, my mentor, or I would say, when he said, "Hey, if you ever want to do this, like I get it, I understand. I'm here to help. It's good competition's good."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It elevates. It makes everyone elevate their performance, and right. So, for those reasons, I want you in my league. You're gonna make me elevate my performance.
There you go. We still gotta get on the golf course too.
We do.
See how your performance is out there.
It's not good.
No, she gone.
It's not good.
She gone.
My buddy got me a hat that says she gone, and that's exactly.
It's perfect for him.
It's perfect for me.
It really is.
Jenna cracking the whip. Get back to work.
What makes me mad is Jenna hasn't golfed that long, and Jenna can like go up there and hit a 200-yard drive down the middle, and I'm like, what is
Wait,
wrong?
you guys golf together?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sounds like us four.
He doesn't like golfing with me, but we golf together.
I lose about 6 balls around, and Jenna's like, I'm still on my first ball.
Well, if you hit it straight, you don't have to worry about losing it.
It's the hardest part of golf. Hardest part is hitting it straight.
I tried to get my wife out there. She got so frustrated. She was like, "This will just be a you thing. I'm over it." I said, "All right."
Same.
Yeah.
Well, it was a frustrating game. When I was younger, I had someone try to teach me, and he was an awful teacher. His best friend is really good at golf, and he can teach me. So he's taught me a lot, which I really appreciate. And then he's actually really good at teaching. So surprisingly, he can teach me about golf, but he can't stay focused in the office. So
priorities.
Yes, priorities. Of course. So they've taught me a lot about how to swing, correctly and everything like that. And I don't know.
What's this guy's name? Can we give him a call?
Right now, I don't know if he'll answer.
It's another trade secret, huh?
Yeah. For me, it just clicked. I don't know what's taking you so long.
Wow. Oh my God. I'm getting
if I had $1 for every time she said I don't know what's taking you so long, I wouldn't need a company.
Right? Yeah.
Good God.
Goodness.
What episode is this? We might want to edit this one. Yeah, right?
Oh my God.
What else? Tell me more about you.
What do you want to know?
I mean, tell us more about you.
We could go back to talking about marketing, which is where we got off topic.
Bring it back.
Basically, this is what happens in our office. Like, we'll start really focused on something, and then it'll be, squirrel. And we'll be like, okay, we're talking about this now, and then
Jen brings it back.
3 hours later, I'm like, so are we going back to this, or what?
You guys, I thought you guys were out at your house. Do you guys have an office now?
Still no.
Okay.
Still
What's the point in wasting that money?
And with all the
so when you say
shutdowns
office, you just mean like the office.
It's home office. Yeah, I mean with all the shutdowns again.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the point of getting an office?
Yeah.
Why spend $4,000 a month on a space for
that nobody can go to?
Just me and maybe 2 other new hires that if today's
we do that.
I mean we don't even know if we're staying in California.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Nope.
it's gotten so bad here, with the politics and
It's
I don't
hard
care
for
what
business.
I
it's
don't
hard
care
for
what
a
side.
company.
Yeah,
I don't care what
it's
side
not
of
the
the fence you're
business
on. It's
side.
just it's just from a business standpoint. Businesses are leaving California like every
Right.
Well,
every
there's a
second
reason
of
too,
a second,
yeah.
and there's a reason for it, and it's sad. And there's just better places to establish a business that are just friendlier, that want to help you because they know that you're going to hire people and bring money into their state and the economy. And how that doesn't make sense in California blows my mind.
Right.
It absolutely blows my mind.
So you're at the point where you're comfortable hiring somebody and letting them work remote?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I will always, even if I have
Even
an
from like a
office,
sales or like a bidding standpoint or anything
Yeah.
like
it
that?
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If I have an office and there's 10 people in it and 7 work remotely, I don't care. That's my mindset. If 2020 taught us anything, it's that you'd be surprised what you can do from home.
Oh, for sure.
From a work
100%.
standpoint.
Yeah.
100%.
So, and that's what we're going to see now is all these commercial real estate properties and rent. I mean, they're going to go.
Yep.
Yeah, there's another wave coming.
Oh yeah.
Well, my mom's office, so she runs an insurance agency that, well, not runs the agency, but she's pretty high up in her office in Orange County in Aliso, and they were starting an expansion right before COVID, and they actually went through with it in March and April, like actually expanding, which I mean, mainly probably because they didn't know how long it was going to last or didn't think it was. But now they're at the point, literally almost a year later now, where I mean they're telling people just get used to it because you're probably going to be working from home and we're probably going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. We've got just wasted office space now that that nobody's going to use anymore.
What you could do, you think about that, $4,000 a month out of 12 months a year.
Yep.
What you can do with that money, and put that back into employee benefits.
Yeah.
I'm sure not a lot of business owners think that way. That's the first thing I can think of is, hey, what if you were to offer some type of package for your employees that is a benefit to them, because you're only going to attract better employees by doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, if you're going to do that, if you're going to go down that road, you need to have people that you can trust. That right, you can't just.
Yeah.
It's not like when you've got them in the office, you can get away with questionable hiring techniques because you're over the shoulder all the time. Yeah, but.
I mean, I could work in your office here and be an insurance agent and play fantasy football and mess around on my roster for 6 hours. You probably wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the same. I'll do that at home.
Stop giving away our trade secrets.
Just kidding.
This part we'll edit.
I know. This part we're gonna edit.
We're editing out.
You guys do great work. Come on.
We try.
Yeah.
So what's next? Why are you here?
What's next?
Yeah.
Well,
Where are you moving?
We don't know yet.
We have states in mind.
Flagstaff, Arizona.
We were thinking
Texas.
Arizona,
Texas.
and then Arizona is getting more and more like California. So we got a lot of friends there, so it makes it tough not
That's
to
the
move
hard
there.
part, yeah.
But if I were to pick 2 states right now, it's Florida or Texas.
Yeah, baby.
Florida or Texas.
I'm
That's
going
it.
to
Where in
Have
Texas?
fun in Florida. In
Florida.
this small town called Athens, Texas. Maybe it's small.
Okay.
I don't know. I just saw it on the map. But there's this property. Right?
That looks good.
Yeah, I did. And it said up and coming wine country. Okay?
Oh, there
so,
you go.
There. We're
Yeah,
going.
so
Right.
that's
I think it's
Sold.
like 30
I'm
or
in.
40 minutes southeast of Dallas.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's this property right now
Okay.
that I want.
Morton's.
It's like 190 acres.